If you're watching this video, it is because you're looking to make changes and create order in your environment, which is a reflection of how orderly your cranial universe is. Yes, your wonderful brain is asking for a change. When we created this workshop called UCO with 4 masterclasses for full activation, the first thing I did was to put it in practice in my life. Here in Vimes, everything that we teach is effectively tested, and in my case, the results were amazing. The truth is that when your brain is organized, everything around you becomes organized. As explained by Tao Rivallo, a psychologist who specialized in cognitive behavioral therapy, cleanliness and order greatly influence our mental health. Human beings tend to always search for a balance, both internally and externally, and that has to do with our environment. If we look around, everything requires order, even in nature. So we're programmed for that order. I've experienced enormous changes in my life by applying certain things. I thought I was a very organized person, but the truth was I didn't realize I was rigid. So the question arises, what is the difference between being orderly and being rigid? Well, our health helps us to answer that question. If to keep your environment clean and beautiful and your life in order with an agenda and a good schedule, you end up with body pain, pain in your back, a tense neck, I assure you that you are rigid. You're not enjoying the process of being organized. This is a sign that enters your brain, and the brain then sends that message to your beautiful body, and there go the aches and pains. On the contrary, if you enjoy doing what you're doing while you're doing your chores, you fulfill your daily goals, you start by writing them down without spending a whole lot of time on it and no stress, then it means you're doing it really well. You're relaxed, and your body's like, this is good. It tells you when you finish your task to even applaud yourself and say, job well done. Now rest. That was my case. And then that was of the first participants as well, their experience of the Masterclass UCO, which is short for Organized Cranial Universe. From rigidity when organizing their environment and their life in general, they discovered that flexibility is the key, and they began to see with each workshop challenge that organizing can be relaxing and positive in every aspect. Now let's talk about the benefits you'll get by doing your UCO workshop. First, you'll learn simple techniques that are very effective when it comes to organizing yourself at home, work, or even with schoolwork. Your personal organization from this moment will be very different. The second is you will optimize your mental health while your environment is organized, achieving full balance. Remember, mental health is fundamental in every aspect of our lives. Third, you will enjoy the accompaniment of an instructor who's a coach. You'll have daily communication with her and with your classmates. This is something other online academies do not offer. You will have the skills to put into practice with your family and with everyone else who wants to. And we could also mention that the support material you receive is unlike any other. In the information of this Masterclass UCO, you have everything in detail regarding the benefits of doing this amazing, organized cranial universe workshop. Hello. Welcome. Happy Monday. It's always a happy Monday for me when I'm here with you guys. My name is Karen Marinez. I'm an emotional wellness coach. I help you identify, manage, and untangle your emotions. We have like, it's like 7:59. A lot of you are here, but I just want to wait like another minute before we get started. But meanwhile, celebration time. We are now at 1,500 subscribers. Did you see that? It's so exciting. So please, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. Help us to continue to grow. The more we grow, the more this message gets out. We get to help others. We're working on getting an emotional well-being, emotional wellness to help it grow. More people to be emotionally well, happy, grounded, and at peace with themselves, and then share that with those in their world, which is a wonderful thing. Nothing changes unless you change, right? I change, my whole environment changes. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. We think outside in. I need them to change so I can be happy. No, no, no. I need to change, and then I'll be happy even if these people never change. All right. So it's very empowering. Thank you for being a part of this channel and helping it to grow by sharing it with others. So if you can think of anyone right now that you want to share the link with, go ahead and share it. If you're here and you're not subscribed, press the subscribe button, okay? And at the end of the live, I have a surprise for you all, something very exciting for you, okay? Let's give everybody a shout out here. I have my computer over here that I'm looking at. Of course, my lovely Elvin. We have PJ from South Carolina. We have Sally. Hello, hello, Deborah Owens. We have Itza in the house. Jill Neek. Very nice. Good to have you. Imani, hello. Yolanda, hey Yolanda. We have Leah sending me hugs and kisses and hellos from Leah from Massachusetts. We have Jimenita, hello Jimena, Sheila G, Kimley Vargas, Roxy Ebony, and Marion Bailey. Good evening, everyone. Good to have you here. So we're going to continue talking about the wound of injustice. This is part 2. um Good stuff, right? I'm going to review a little bit about it. We want to look in the mirror. Is this a wound? Is this a primary wound of mine, or do I have, most of us have a little bit of all the wounds? Again, why? Because our parents were not perfect. As adults, eventually we realized they did the best they could with what they had, right? But we have to acknowledge that we were affected by the way they treated us, the way they raised us, what the conversation was, what the environment was in the home. And it's also the way we perceive certain things as children, right? We didn't have the whole picture. We didn't understand everything. We were babies, right? But we were very affected by what went on. Luz Naranjo, hello, hello. What you say? Got a kid on my hip, but listening in. It's good to have you. That's awesome. Thanks for being here. So that's what our emotional wounds are all about. So we're looking at these things to see, do I have some of this? Is this a wound I need to work on? And if it is, we work on it. We're humble. We allow ourselves to be vulnerable. We allow ourselves to look at that mirror and see ourselves for who we really are. Okay. So I'm going to explain a little bit for those who may have not have been here last week, just to bring everybody up to speed on the wound of injustice. It's obviously an emotional childhood wound that manifests itself as a sense of being treated unfairly or not receiving validation. How does it happen? It's when a child is mistreated, judged, or blocked from opportunities by parents, authority figures, peers, or caregivers. It could be you were raised by your grandparents, or you were with your parents, but your grandparents were treated you in a certain way. But it usually occurs with the same sex parent who's too critical, too demanding, and it makes the child feel like they can't be themselves. And we all need to feel validated for who we are, accepted for who we are. That wound is awakened between the ages of 4 and 6. Why? Because that's when we start becoming aware that we're an individual, that I'm different from my classmate, I'm different from my brother, right? But when the child is not encouraged to be themselves, they're not told, yeah, express yourself, be unique. The parents don't encourage, facilitate, or even accept the child's personality. Then that's when that injustice wound starts to come out. Okay. I have a friend, just an example. She was controlled as a child. No individuality allowed, military style, right in the home. And later coming out of high school, she wanted to pursue a career that was very creative, and her father said, no, study business. That's not practical. Do this. And as a result, she's in her 40s and she still cries about it today as a grown adult because what she went along and did what she was not allowed to be who she was and even pick the career that she wanted. So for this child, it's deeply unfair that they cannot be themselves, right? So they retain the impression of being wronged. They're a victim of this with this parent in particular. Okay, Joanna McLeod, hello, welcome. Good to have you. We have Colombia and Panama in the house, and then of course all sprinkled around the United States. Is very exciting. Our community is growing, guys. So not being recognized and appreciated at your fair value, and people and a person that has the injustice wound feels that people appreciate him more for what he or she does, than who he or she is. That hurts. Now, here's something very interesting to put in your notes if you're taking notes. The wound of injustice always follows the wound of rejection. I'm going to say it again. The wound of injustice always follows the wound of rejection, which is also from the same sex parent. And it makes sense because they're very similar. The rejection wound develops when a person perceives or experiences that they're not accepted or valued by their parents, right? Okay. I have a client. I asked her permission. Can I share your experience? She's like, sure. I said, I'll keep it anonymous. Mom was young when she had her, single mom, worked Monday to Friday. Grandma kept her. So on the weekends, she's like, this is my time. She's ready to party. And she said, I remember sitting in the bathroom. She's in the mirror, my mom, putting on her makeup, doing her hair. And she would like just be looking at her with longing, like, am I that bad that she doesn't want to stay here with me? Like, when is she going to spend time with me? And she remembers this particular case when she was at the door with her mom. And she was like, stay, mom, you stay. And the mother left anyway. She's going to party. And grandma grabbed her up like, it's okay, baby. But that's outright rejection from mom, same sex parent. And then I'm begging for her to stay and she doesn't stay. Obviously, that leads to the injustice wound because it's not fair, right? Another client of mine says she always had to act. She had to pretend to be someone else in order to get attention from her parents, grandparents. Yeah. So Dr. Jesso is in the house. Hey, Dr. Jesso, good to have you, darling. So here are some traits of the rigid personality because the injustice wound, the mask, is rigidity. That's how it affects all the wounds. We put on a mask and we hide ourselves. Oris, good to have you. Hey, Oris, welcome. So if you're taking notes, we have a few traits of the rigid personality. Sensitivity is the first one. You're very sensitive. But on the flip side, others feel that you're cold and insensitive. That's very interesting, right? Perfectionism. We talked about that last week. We had some really goody quotes for that. You want to be appreciated for what you do, but that's why you're a perfectionist. You have a competitive spirit, but you also have doubts when faced with choices. You like it to just be black and white. When it's a lot of choices, it could even be in a store. There's doubt. You don't, because I don't want to make the wrong decision, right? Because that perfectionism keeps you at a standard that's really unattainable. And perfectionism means that you often lack time for your projects because you're so busy trying to get way up here with the standards to get up, and you can't, and then you get behind on things, and now you leave this open and that open, and I got to get that done, and now that causes chaos in the brain. You start a lot of projects, but you get too scattered trying to be too perfect. That perfectionism just blocks progress, and it makes you a good burnout candidate. Wow. We don't want that. So we know perfectionism is a big thing for people that suffer the injustice wound. It has to be a goal. You have to be very intentional about pulling back, bringing those standards down to be more reasonable, right? And I think last week we mentioned looking around in your life. Who is someone that I can trust, that I feel comfortable with, that I honor and trust, but I can observe their life and they're balanced. Then I could say, this is my thought, and I'm aiming for this. Do you think that's balance? And they may say, bring it down a little, because you need outside feedback. It's really important. Number two, storage. Or is this number three? This is sensitivity, perfection. Now we're on storage. You like everything to be titled, serialized, categorized. This desire for tidiness and order sometimes leads to obsession, right? And look, I'm about to teach a class in September about organizing our homes. An organized home means an organized brain, and we can function so much better. Our feelings of well-being are better when things are in order. But when it's rigidly in order, the things have to be alphabetized in the cabinet, right? Perhaps I'm just giving an example. And if it's not that way, then then that's obsession, right? Number four, rigidity. You confuse discipline with rigidity. So here's the difference. Discipline achieves a specific goal, but you focus above all on the means used to achieve the goal. For example, you could decide to exercise at the gym once a week. Well, what's wrong with that, right? It's a good goal. But if you're feeling out of sorts that day, you're not feeling good, you're sick, and you still force yourself to go, because we have to stick to this plan that we've put in place. I set this day and we're going this day, and you have allergies or you have a cold or you have a stomach virus, and you push, that's rigidity. It's not reasonable, it's not balanced. Okay. Merit is the other thing. You need to feel worthy of what you receive. So if you feel that there's no reason for you to get an award or someone to say thank you so much, or oh my goodness, some type of compliment, you can even unconsciously make yourself lose out because you don't like getting, if you don't feel that you're worthy, because again, your worthiness is based on high performance, right? And if you don't feel it reached all the way up here, meanwhile it's here and people are like, wow, that was so good, girl, right? You may even sabotage it. We talked about self-sabotage last week. And this is interesting too. You find it difficult to relax without feeling guilty. You can't. There's too much to be done. How can I relax? Got to do this. I got to call this one. I have to, right? I have to organize. I have to do, right? Merit is a thing. The other one is limits. It's difficult for you to know and respect your limits, your boundaries. That perfectionist side of you is such that you rarely ask for help because only I can do it the way I need it to be done. And it's true, because no one else is probably going to reach that, right? And you sometimes go so far as to exhaust yourself because you don't even listen to yourself. Now that's injustice that you're doing to yourself though, right? And then what happens? Burnout comes. But you see, we talk about that all the time. What was done to us by our parents that we can't stand, we go back and we do it to ourselves. Our parents had unreasonable expectations. We were never enough. Whatever we did was not valued. And now we do the same thing to us. That's unfair. But look at that. You're doing it to yourself. Do you get that? Do you hear that? Jonique said, that's me right now. I'm going to the gym tonight. Do it, girl. As long as you're not sick. If it's something, I'm sorry, I need to block my lipstick. It looks like it's quite shiny. Okay. RBNUYKR. Renee's in the house. Hello, Renee. Good to have you. So we have to watch out for burnout, and we have to be careful that what was done to us that we hated, that we don't go back and do it to ourselves, because that's what we're doing. We have to step out of that. We have to stop, because then it's just a vicious cycle. right? So how do we start healing? What do we do? That's why we're here today. Number one, be fair to yourself. If you're taking notes, I hope you are. Be fair to yourself. Give yourself time and space to rest, heal, and nurture yourself. Give yourself time and space to explore your creative side. Do you want to do pottery? You want to get your hands wet? You want to try to bake a cake? You want to learn to skate? You want to ride a bike? You want to go swimming? You want to do some artwork? You want to go do it. And exploring that creative side and doing things that you love help with healing from that rigidity. But we have to do it without expecting perfection. How can I learn to swim if I'm expecting myself day one to be able to jump into 6 feet water and swim across the pool? That's not going to happen. Or I'm comparing myself to the other person. No, go and enjoy it. Remember, I'm not here to be perfect. I'm here to enjoy. And you have to keep telling yourself that, because that little person inside of you that felt the rejection, felt the injustice, they still pop up all the time. She's or he is talking to you all the time and you're not even aware of it. That inner critic is there all the time. We got to shut him or her down. We talked about that. Sit her in the corner, put her on time out. She needs to cut it, right? Stop. And only we can do that. Here's a quote for you. I love this quote. Leah, injustice I do to myself. Yeah, we got to be kinder to ourselves. You ready for a nice quote from Robert Frost? Nothing can make injustice just but mercy. So we can rectify the injustice by being merciful with ourselves. Dr. Just says she's a mess. Yeah, a hot mess. And she goes on and on, and she just, she has so much to say. We got to shut her down. Quiet. We have to do it because, yeah, she's out of control. Okay. Now, how do you show mercy to yourself? Time out, little girl. Yes. Time her out. Put her in the corner. But how can you show mercy to yourself and compassion? One thing is, if you get a picture of yourself, if you have a picture or access to a picture of yourself at that age, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe. If you have access to one, get one. If grandma has it, go to grandma, ask, can you send it to me in the mail? Can I drop by and look through the photo out? Or if you have it, Jonique says, shut the injustice down. It has to be shut down. And only we can do it, Jonique. Exactly. I love the exclamation points. Y'all are really getting into this, and that's good because you see the seriousness of it. We have to shut her down, or him if you're a guy. We have some guys in the house, maybe, but they, I know you watch, so it's good. Oh, well, we definitely have my husband Elvin. Okay. So it's a series of questions for us to ask ourselves. And this is a really good exercise. We're working on showing compassion to ourselves and being merciful to ourselves, because nothing can make injustice just except mercy. Mercy can flip the script, change things, and mainly in our minds. It's all in our minds and in our emotions, our subconscious. And these things just come out in the way we respond to situations now that really the 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old little girl or boy is responding to. It's not me at my age, adult. It's me at that age, but in this body. And it happens all the time. And we have no idea. How did I get myself in this situation? We ask ourselves, why did I say that? Why am I doing? Why does that bother me so much? Because you are really, it's that subconscious mind that is controlling you. And it's all of the things that happened to you as a child. We have to heal that inner child, show mercy to her first, allow her to grow up and be a grown adult and accept what life is, and then we can heal. But we have to have compassion for her, right? So here's a series of questions. Anne Marie's in the house. Hey, Anne. Here's a series of questions, and we're going to use our imagination. If you have the picture, it helps because then you can look at yourself, all right? And what you're going to do is you're going to think back again, all of the things the homework assignments and the things that I mentioned, the exercises, what does it require of us? Time. We have to know that it's so important to set aside time for ourselves. Okay.
it's so important when we study the Bible, when we study in school, whatever we're doing, we have to set aside time. We're preparing for something, a presentation at the job. We have to set aside time to prepare. And so when we're working on ourselves, we can't run from ourselves. We have to be willing to do the work. Are y'all ready to do the work? I think you are, because that's why you're here, right? And at least listening to it will get you on the road to starting to do the work. It's like me. I could sit on the couch, lay on the couch. It's one of my favorite things to do. And I could put on hours of exercise videos on YouTube. And I could eat popcorn and I could drink some wine and I can chit chat with my friends on the phone. Will the exercise do me any good by watching it? No. I need to get up and do and it's the same thing with these things that I mentioned to you in the videos. You have to put in the work. And that means shutting down other things that we do, all that external work, helping this one, doing that one, over here, over there. That little girl or boy is saying, but what about me? Can you give me some time? That's not fair. Don't reject me now. Please pay me some attention. Okay. So here's an exercise. So you're going to think back to a difficult time. We all have them. There may be something really traumatic that you can remember when you were a young child. Sit and think about it. And now you're going to use these questions to show compassion to the child within that acts up and needs to be put on timeout. But we're going to show compassion to her right now, okay? Because we want to recognize the difficult times with compassion and kindness. Okay, so here you're going to look at your younger self, preferably in a picture, and you're going to think about how you felt then with a difficult situation. We're dealing with then, not me now. No, me at 5, 6, 7 years old. Okay, here are the questions. It's 7 of them. Are you ready? The first one: how do you, younger you, feel about what's happening? Visualize the moment. Someone passed away. There was violence in the home. Dad lost his job. Mom left. Whatever. How do you feel about how do you feel? But not now, then, because you're talking to your younger self about what's happening. You're looking around at the situation. How do you feel? Or you were abandoned, dad just got up and left. Number 2, you're going to say, I feel that event or situation affects my life now in the following ways. How does what happened back then, excuse me, affect you right now? What could others have done for you to help? How can I support myself now in my life, now as an adult? Because we don't think we got the support back then. Usually there's a very traumatic event that we've all experienced. It's very individual, but we've experienced it by ourselves. No one then came over and said, oh, this has to be hard for you. No, we by ourselves, the adults were in their own worlds and paid us no mind. Oh, kids are resilient. Oh, she's fine. She's playing with her dolls. But how, and so we're upset that we didn't get the support then, or we're puzzled that we didn't get like, you didn't think that affected me? But again, the adults were doing their own thing. They were in their own worlds, right? But how can I, here we go. How can I show up for myself and support myself now in my life now as an adult? The next question is, can you accept that you were a child and could not fix the situation? You have nothing to feel bad about. A lot of us blame ourselves for these things that happened. It could even be the death of a parent. And we say, if I had behaved, because that 4-year-old, that 5-year-old said, I must have done something that made that. Or if I had behaved better, my parents wouldn't have divorced. Not now as an adult, but back then that could have been how we were feeling. And we took the blame and we still carry that blame. Or I should have done something. What could you have done at 6 years old? You know, right? But we logically we know that, but our subconscious beats us up. There should have been something I could have done. The other question is, can I accept that sometimes the way I react now is a result of my past? That's a really good one. knowing that no, it's not that this person treated you this way or said this to you, excuse me, today. As you may even say, why am I so like this is really bothering me? Mm-mm. It has nothing, it kind of, but this triggered what happened way back then. And ooh, you blew up hot, very angry about the situation. It's unfair, but we have to go back. And the last question is, can I recognize that it does not have to be this way? What can I do to change? Isn't that beautiful? Because to me, the beauty is that the power is in my hands. I have the power to change my way of viewing things, my way of seeing what happened in the past, just as it is, correcting the little girl or boy. There was nothing you could have done. Little boys that see domestic violence in the home, all those things, they they want to jump in, but they were a little boy. What could they really have done to stop their father, right? So we have to be able to look back, look at that person, that little boy or girl, and recognize how they saw it back then through a child's eyes and what the situation really was. And could they have done something back then? Probably not. You weren't in control, you were a child. But if someone had come to your aid, what would you have wanted them to do for you then? And that's a way to connect, because a lot of clients ask me, but what, so what, how do I'm going to tell you, think back to what, if someone could have stepped in back then, what would you have loved for them to do for you? And then you can do that for yourself. It's very powerful that I don't have to depend on the outside world to fix me, to help me. I can help myself, but in a balanced way, because we still need people. We're going to get into that later. But to heal, I don't need anybody else. I don't need my mother or father to change. I don't need my husband to change. I don't need my boss to be. I change, my whole environment changes. It's beautiful. Does anybody have a question about that? Lou says, what if it was multiple traumatic events at different ages? So then you just split them up and you address each one. And this takes time. This shouldn't be done in one. Oh, Maggie's here. Hey, Maggie. It can't be done in one sitting. So this is a practice of time with ourselves, nurturing ourselves. It's our special time. We get our tea, whatever it is, we get our favorite blanket, we lay on the couch, we get some private time, we go to a park, sit in nature, we go to the beach, whatever works for us. Sit in your car, but you need private time, and you can start with that one and do all those questions. And then another time you can do the other situation. And like you said, at different ages, because we all have them. I love the questions because we're allowing ourselves to be vulnerable, and other people could say, oh, it's not just me that has several things that happen. We all do. Why? Because our parents are not perfect. That's it. They made mistakes. They had their own issues, their own wounds, right? So we're not blaming them, but we're also not romanticizing, oh, my mom, she made mistakes and it affected me in this way, and that's why I'm the way I am today. And if I want to fix who I am today and get better and heal, then I have to go back to that. And there again, the answers are back there. What caused these wounds? What would I have wanted people to do then to come save me? We could do that to ourselves now. If anyone can think of an example real quick, put it in the chat. My throat, I'm sorry. Put it in the chat of something you would have wanted someone to do for you, like maybe, I don't know, any adult to step in at the time. You could just put that in, then we could start working with it, just to give you a good example. Okay, feel free to put it in. How could the adult in your life or an adult have stepped in, swooped in, and made things better back then? All right. While you think and you type, I'll keep going, okay? How can you know if you've started healing from the injustice wound? How can you know? Because right? Oh, okay. Let me just say this, and then Leah gave us a nice thing. Okay. How to know if you've started healing? Two things. When you allow yourself to be less than perfect and come to peace with your mistakes, that's one. I'm going to say it again because it's when you allow yourself to be less than perfect and come to peace with your mistakes. Because then remember, the injustice is rigid, it's perfection first, right? And number two is when you allow yourself to show vulnerability in front of others. You allow yourself to be authentic around others, not fake, not this mask. You are truthful with others. How you doing? Girl, it was a rough night. You know, I didn't sleep good last night, but I made it. I'm here. Why do you think you didn't sleep? I was so nervous. It's so interesting. I went to a school Monday to Saturday last 2 weeks ago. 40 people in the class. I think I knew maybe five that definitely were going to be there. So it's like the pre jitters, right? The first day of school, it was a class to help me with my teaching. And I hardly slept the night before. Sunday night, I tossed and turned. I was up. Nothing helped. I got there, butterflies in my stomach, and 2 or 3 hours in, I was good. But I made myself talk about it Monday at lunch with these people that I don't, wonderful people, but I only knew like a few of them at my table. We're having lunch, and I'm like, oh, I hardly slept last night. What? You too? I didn't either. I said, and this morning I had butterflies in my stomach as I was walking in the building. Me too. Be truthful. And if someone said, what? Why? I was, because I'm nervous. You weren't nervous? Well, good for you, but I was. There's nothing wrong with being truthful, be authentic. Now, I'm not going to go, right? We don't have to go, we're balanced. We don't have to go to extremes of telling ultra personal things about ourselves in a group setting. But what did I learn from that? Just being myself and being truthful. All 40 participants had the butterflies in their stomach, male, female, old, young, middle-aged. We all felt it because we're human. So just be yourself. You don't have to act anymore. You don't have to pretend to be something vying for your parents' attention. Maybe they'll recognize me if I do this or if I behave like that. No, be your authentic self. People will love you for it. Okay, here we go. Leah says, getting back to that whole thing about what would you have wanted an adult to do? Leah says, give me a hug and say it's not your fault. Nice. All right, so let's put ourselves there. They would have swooped in at Leah at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, hug you, make you feel secure and at peace and loved and protected, and say, it's not your fault, baby. So now Leah can do what to herself when childhood wound of injustice is popping up, and you can see it. You're being extra perfect or super rigid. It has to be this way or no way. Grown Leah, adult Leah can do the same thing. Hug. Let me take a moment. You feel yourself, get it? You can literally give yourself a hug and you can say, don't worry, you're safe now. You're an adult now. You're in control now, which is really huge because at 5, 6, 7, you had no control, very little control, very little, right? All right. Anne Marie said, wanted someone to speak up and defend me. Yes. You didn't have a voice, perhaps. You felt stomped on, not heard. So how could that come out as an adult? You may, right? And it's not sweetened up. There's no tack. It's just, look, take it. This is how I'm giving it. Right? But you can learn to speak up for yourself, but in a balanced way because you get in control of your emotions, but speak up for yourself and don't hold back. But you can speak up for yourself in a way that is balanced, respectful, tactful, but you get your point across. You set the boundaries. We're not going there. I won't allow you to talk to me like that. This is how I feel about the situation. Firm, but with tact, right? Imani says, I needed the love and emotional support. So you can give that to yourself, Imani. Love and emotional support. How can, and that's a project for you to work on. How can I show myself love? What kind of love? Because we've heard of the 5 love languages, giving gifts, quality time, right? There are 5. What would I have wanted? What type of love did I need? And then find ways to give it to yourself. Okay. Sheila, stop the person treating me unfairly instead of standing by. Oh, yeah. So this person that should have jumped in and protected you didn't. They just let the other person just do whatever they were doing, which was very unjust. So you as well, setting boundaries, very clear. Whatever you wanted that person, stop that. That's not fair to her. Leave her alone. You can do the same thing. Very clear. You don't have to scream and yell. I don't appreciate the way you're talking to me. That has to stop. If you continue to talk to me this way, I'm going to hang up. If you can't respect my boundaries, I can't have a relationship with you. You see how that sounds? So you are doing for you what you wanted the outside world to have done for you as a child. It says, protect me from anyone that, could cause you harm. Yes. So you have, again, boundaries, setting boundaries for yourself with your time, your energy, right? It's phenomenal. Leah and Roxy are both perfectionists in recovery. Yes. And they're going to support each other, which is awesome. Anne Marie says setting boundaries is a must and a work in progress. Yes, yes, and yes. You see how it works? So that was a nice exercise. And now you see how you can reach way back. What did I want someone to do for me back then? I'm going to do that for me right now instead of doing other things that aren't going to be helpful. Look at this last quote. When we give ourselves compassion, the tight knot of negative self-judgment starts to dissolve, replaced by a feeling of peaceful, connected acceptance, a sparkling diamond that emerges from the coal. Isn't that beautiful? Kristen Neff, N-E-F-F. Loose, not I know saying we're not going to accept this. Yeah, and not, you don't have to yell and scream. You shouldn't, because that damages your body. That gets your stress and your heart starts, no. Very firm, but calm, because you're in control. So if the person misbehaves or they want to step over your boundaries, you shut it down. I won't allow you to speak to me like that. You block them, you don't call them, you don't put yourself in their company because they don't respect your boundaries. They're not being respectful, they're not treating you well. So they don't get the honor of having you in their life. That's all. You're in control now. See, back then you were a child and you had very little control, but now you're an adult. Yeah. And we fill our lives with vitamin people. We form our tribe. We get people who are balanced, loving, nurturing to us now that we feel safe with. We don't shut out the world. That's what people go to the other extreme. I can't trust anybody. I'm better off by myself. No, we're not. We need people. People need people, but we need the right type of people. Okay. A few more comments. Sheila says, set boundaries. I love this resolution. It worked wonders for me. Very good. So keep it up. Cindy says, beautiful. Nice. And Anne Marie says, love that quote from Kristen. It's Kristen K, just in case you're gonna look up, Kristin Neff, Neff. Chica MB says, it's sure not easy to set boundaries with but they have to be you're an adult now. And you have to set them because you're an adult. Everyone does. It's a form of respect, and they don't know unless you set the boundaries. If they try to, then you just, Ma, remember we talked about this. I can't do that. I need some time. I have this going on. So I need you to get someone to take you to that appointment or whatever the situation is. Boundaries are so important. We couldn't do them as children, but it's a must now. All right. We have a few more minutes. I told you I had a surprise at the end. Um, we're going to start a membership for the English speaking community on this YouTube channel. Videos will be exclusively for this group. Once a month also, you'll be able to meet with me live on a private group Zoom to discuss a topic, do some type of small therapy session. We kind of did a little one today, looking back and comparing it to now and what we need, right? If you're interested, on the right where it says Vimes Life, there's a join button next to the subscribe button. Press join and you'll see the price. It's level 4 because the other 3 are in Spanish. This one will be in English. And then you'll have exclusive videos of me. I'll be uploading them weekly. And then once a month, we would meet on Zoom. There'll be more information later. But if you're interested in checking out the price and all that, just press join. When you press join, you're not automatically subscribed to that, right? But check it out and see if it's something you're interested in. We would love to have you in our little special group. Okay. Keep being truthful to yourselves, love yourselves, allow yourself to be less than perfect. Perfection does not exist. We have some recovering perfectionists in the group. Thank you for being authentic and your true selves and admitting it, because we're all working on something. But when we let go of that perfectionism, what's behind it? Joy, relief, relaxation, happiness, peace. All of that, when we bring the standards down, Roxy, it's liberating. Yes, 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 yes. And then we can have more authentic relationships because we're not trying to be this perfect person that doesn't make mistakes and that does everything perfectly. We can't grow if we don't make mistakes. Growing and making mistakes go hand in hand. Oh, Elvin said, please press the like button. Yes, please press the like button before you leave. Awesome. Loved the interchange with you all. Great work. Thank you so much. It gives me life. It always does. Anne-Marie said, great information. Thanks. You're very welcome. It's truly my pleasure. And what else did I want to say? There's another live next Monday. I didn't check the poll to see what's the next one. What have we done? We've done abandonment, injustice, and rejection. So there are 2 more left. I'm going to look back on the poll we did some months back in the emotional wellness chat. If you're not in the chat, please join it. Alejandro, si puede poner el enlace, por favor. Maggie, thanks for being here. If you're not in the emotional wellness chat, get in it, please. It's free. But then you'll see the upcoming topics and all that good stuff on YouTube and whatever else we're talking about. If anyone else has something they want to share in continuation of this conversation, please, let's continue in the chat, in the emotional wellness chat. Share it with the group, okay? And we'll keep working on ourselves, setting aside time for ourselves to work on ourselves, to heal, so we can get better. All right. Love you all. Have a great night. And I'll see you next week. Bye. Big hugs. Bye. Thanks again for coming.
Un gusto estar con ustedes nuevamente. Queremos aprovechar de darles la bienvenida a los que están entrando a este canal. Si es primera vez que estás visitando Vimes Life, deseamos que disfrutes del contenido, que puedas también sumarte al canal, suscríbete, y queremos darte un avance de lo que hemos logrado y lo que ahora el canal tiene disponible para ti. Son 3 membresías que tendremos en nuestro canal.
Todo está servido. Puedes ingresar hoy mismo a la membresía que más te conviene, a la membresía que te va a beneficiar a ti y que te va a mantener unidito con nosotros, con la familia Vimes Life, para seguir optimizando la salud emocional.
Y hay algo muy interesante que debes tener presente, que puedes empezar con la primera membresía e ir escalando. Puedes ir escalando, de esa forma vas a poder ir desarrollándote en la formación emocional, en la gestión de las emociones, en el crecimiento como persona, y luego acceder a la siguiente membresía y luego a la de pioneros emocionales.
Y así también nos irán conociendo, Ale. Me parece que eso es algo importantísimo porque vas dando pasos seguros. Sin embargo, los de ustedes que ya tienen años con la familia Vimes y nos conocen, pueden comenzar desde la membresía número 3. En esta membresía quería recordar algo. Van a tener descuentos importantes en los cursos que nosotros demos. De aquí en adelante habrán otras membresías y los mantendremos informados.
Así que queremos que te unas en esta oportunidad, en este campo que nos permite disfrutar y alcanzar nuestros objetivos.
Nos vemos dentro en las membresías.